Okay, so the Space Shuttle Challenger, that was a very interesting paper to read. What could NASA have done differently? I think that them putting a big importance on the date that it needed to be set off was probably a bad idea. I think that anytime you do that, certain prerequisites and other things like that are not focused upon near like they should have been, and kind of like it was, well, like it was in this article where important things like that aren't focused on enough, and they'll do anything they can to just be done. And I think that having the president involved with his deadlines and all of that was not a very good idea, because obviously they're going to do whatever they can to please the president. And I think that's what they could have done differently. Just make sure that they know exactly that everything's going to be perfect, because kind of knowing that some things weren't in the best shape before the launch and still putting human beings in there, 7 different individuals with families, just putting them in there knowing, well, I mean, let's hope it works. I think that's very unethical and not a good thing to do. What should Roger Boisley have done differently? I think he should have done everything he can or everything he could have done to just make sure everybody knew that things weren't ready. He knew that the temperature was going to be too low, and that his products could only go to a certain amount or a certain temperature before they were going to fail. And I think that he should have just gone to his manager or whoever it was that he needed to go to and say, look, like, I understand there's a deadline, but this isn't safe and this isn't going to work. So I think even with his job, I think that if he ends up losing his job because of that, I think future employers are probably going to see him and say, okay, he's an intelligent man. He knows he's a morally and ethically correct individual who cares more about the human race than he does about a product going up into space, even if it's that important. What do we see? What do you, as students, see as your future engineering professional responsibilities in relation to both being loyal to management and protecting the public welfare? I think that, whether it's, people talk about utilitarianism, me being the greatest amount of good for the greatest amount of people. I think that comes into play here. That, yeah, it would be cool and all to get a shuttle up in this space and before the Europeans, like it talked about, but I think that you have to look at the greatest amount of good. Not only did it take toll on those individuals, but as Americans as a whole, it took a big toll on everyone. I asked my parents about and they could remember where they were when they heard about it, what job they were working. My mom told me she was working at a bank. My dad told me he was working at a steel factory, and they knew exactly where they were working and who they were with when it happened. So it obviously took a toll on many, many people, and I think that had they taken the precautions that they needed to, that it could have been a big difference. And it could have been a remarkable time, well, I don't know, like experiment of those people up in space, whereas it was the exact opposite. It was a really bad incident. And those are my thoughts on the Space Shuttle Challenger.